Welcome. I'm Halcyon, and this is Hug Nation. Today I want to talk about future joy. Now, I have been going through a shift recently. You may have seen me broadcast from Hawaii last week, and I don't know if it was the baptism of tropical water in the ocean, or it was the pounding restructuring of my very essence underneath the waterfall, or it was the cosmic speaking to me from the sea turtles, that I just feel that amongst so many other things in my life, I feel this shift happening. And I'm not even sure if I can articulate how and where and what's happening, but hey, that's what this moment is about. That's what this time is about. So I'm just going to let it out. So 3 years ago, I left my real job that I had moved to Ventura for. And since leaving that job, I have been a combination of unemployed, retired, on sabbatical, doing all the things that I like to do, but not too much more. And I have been kind of in a constricted space of trying to save as much money as possible and let this window of freedom last as long as possible. And it's been wonderful. But more and more, I'm feeling out of alignment, like something else I should be doing. There should be a new project. I left that company as a way of freeing myself up to do more, and I have not necessarily felt drawn. I've found myself getting very pulled into, I feel very busy, but I'm kind of in a state of drifting and allowing myself to be pulled into whatever the idea or excitement of the day is, which is a great thing. I think that can be very helpful. In fact, float more, steer less is a guiding principle to my life. But it is a balanced and nuanced principle. Floating is about finding the big currents and going with them. Occasionally, a little piece of driftwood can get caught up in a whirlpool or a rip current and is surrendered but kind of in a loop. Maybe caught in the shore break and just getting pummeled on the surf, which is fine and fun, but maybe there is a big current through the ocean that is a more deeper floating than the more surface level floating. And my surface floating is paying attention to the digital worlds, paying attention to Facebook, and being involved with conversations, responding to things. And there's actually, I find a lot of value in that. And I find that trying to exercise who I am and what I believe in and what I stand for in the Facebook realm is not a waste of time. I can turn it into a waste of time. I can spend 30 minutes writing, reading, responding, and then 3 hours rereading, checking for new updates, scrolling. So one of those is floating. The other one is getting caught up in the shore break and getting pummeled a lot longer than I need to be. So I've been starting to, I was listening to Alan Watts every morning, and I've been starting listening to Abraham Hicks in the morning. And Abraham is often telling people, Abraham is a channeled entity, if you're not familiar, and but that's not important. The important part is that the intelligence that is coming through in this voice is all about aligning with a vibration that brings joy, and visualizing the things that you want, visualizing the things that would make you happy. And I've been very resistant to visualization and to, I never make a vision board. I never try to imagine the life I'd like to have. I've been more practiced about gratitude and appreciating everything that I have and trying to focus on that. And I think that that's nothing wrong with that, but there is also, I'm learning and embracing and kind of having courage to step more and more into a future that has things that I don't have now. And the subtlety there is in trying to imagine or feel what this different life would feel like and have it bring joy, have it feel good instead of feel longing or feel like lack. I don't want to feel like, oh, it's not like I want to stop feeling like I have to put away my studio equipment all the time because I like until I get my own place. Maybe I should take a step back. I live in paradise, but the home that I am living in right now, I'm on kind of indefinite house sitting, and I get a reduced rent in agreement that I leave when the owners want to use it. Now, for the longest time, my intentions, my law of attraction mantras about affluence and abundance were very much about having a comfortable space. So the fact that I had access to this beautiful place, even though it wasn't mine, it was perfect. I have no need to own my stuff as long as I can be in a space of peace and comfort. And in fact, I feel like I had, as I'm starting to explore the idea of getting my own place, I'm realizing the judgments that I had about having my own space, the judgments that I have about like why do I need to own? Why do I need to have? Why do what is that shallow to want to like that's so material of me. And I had the experience this weekend of hosting the Pink Heart brunch and Burning Man brunch and had people over to my space, which for the last several years we've been having it at Dimitri's place. But Dimitri and OT are about to have a baby. So they said, can you give us a little space? So I was excited to host for the first time in a long time. And I forgot how much I enjoyed making a space filled with my energy and my art. I brought my art out into the space, which is normally I'm house sitting, so it's not my art. And I kind of practiced, nested and practiced, and it was like, I really like this feeling. I really like hosting. I really like allowing me to have a space. And so, as I'm thinking about getting my own space, and I'm thinking about all these things that are exciting to me, not stressful, like, oh, I wish I had that, but like, oh, I could set up all my studio equipment and not have to put it away all the time whenever the owners want to use this place. Ooh, I could set up an altar that I wouldn't have to put away. I could put my art and hang it in a permanent style way, not just, putting it in a way that I know I can remove if I need to. And starting to kind of to sink into this feeling of joy, this feeling of like, almost like visualizing the rooting happening. And I think I had a fear of that too. I had a fear of anchoring myself to one place and a fear of growing roots because then I was less free. And yes, that's true. The paradox of mankind, we must bind ourselves in order to be free. And so I'm starting to think, how exciting is that going to be if I start to actually create a foundation that I can build upon? If I can create a space that I feel magnifies my presence and my creativity, and what if I create a space that I can use as part of my art, whether it be hosting people or creating a studio space? I mean, I love this space. You've probably seen me broadcast here many times with this background. As I'm doing it, I'm looking at the ocean. Everything is perfect, and yet I am having joy about thinking about something different. And there's a lot of reasons why that's significant to me. Because as I left my last job and I sat into this space of sabbatical, I did not have a hunger. I did not have this joy in the future that I was going towards. I had all sorts of ideas for projects that seemed like a good idea. I had all sorts of business type ideas. And in fact, I have a tendency to get very excited about new ideas and not so much enthusiasm for the hard work and follow through. I used to say that my perfect job is landscape architecture, where I can just plant a bunch of things and then let a gardener deal with it. I don't want to weed. I just want to pick out pretty colors and plant them and say, but so I digress. So with this, there's all these pieces of this future thinking joy, this future joy that are working together, because now the piece that I have of living cheaply is no longer as wonderful and warm and feel goody as this potential space of my own. But the space of my own will require me to acquire more resources. So I'm now being nudged, pushed, feeling the flow or the motivation to try to dedicate more energy to projects that can bring in money so that I can create this future joy that is creating this good vibration for me. And there's a lot of reasons why I have struggled to create a money-making opportunity for myself. You may have heard me over the past few years talk about all sorts of ideas. I wrote a book but never published it. I just recently had a new podcast idea and a new video of the day idea and a new this idea and a new this idea. And I'm aware of how my subconscious works. Not as it's happening, but I can see, I know that I have an awesome retreat idea, and I know that I have an awesome workshop, and I know I have an awesome book, all these things in me. I believe that. However, if I publish the book, if I host the seminar or the retreat, and it's just okay, or it's a disaster, actually, let's say it's just okay. Now my story of this incredible thing inside me, I have to face the fact that it's not perfect. I'm not Superman exceptional, that everything I do the first time I do it is perfect. Now, that's illogical as it comes out of my mouth, but that's the thoughts that keep me from trying, from executing, from finishing. Once it's finished and I say, this is the thing, it costs $100. And if nobody buys it, or if someone does buy it and say, I'm not sure if that was worth $100, now my fantasy, my story about myself, about this priceless thing inside me, now has reality to knock it down. Now, this whole scenario, this battle between reality and potential and worth, this is all fantasy. This is all happening in my head. And on a logical level, I know that the honor in failure is far greater than the honor of holding on to a potential for fear of failing. So, this new shift of a future warm and fuzzy thing and the needs that, not needs, but the lifestyle, all of the pieces in play to make it work require some shifts in me, requires me to make some different types of decisions and some discipline and saying no to certain things and saying, that's a great new project idea, but I need to finish this seminar outline. I need to book this room. I need to hire this videographer. This project A and B, that's what I'm working on until I'm done. And this last week, I learned a mental trick that hit me so hard. I've been thinking about it ever since. My friend Anthony Collova, who is a superstar at Pink Heart, you may know him at Burning Man as Cookie. He brought 11,000 cookies to give away last year. 11,000 gooey, yummy homemade cookies, not like boxes of Oreos, like gifts. 11,000! That's this whole nother story. Like when we did a talk to the BlackRock explorers, like these kids between 4 and 12, and we taught them about gifting, and then they went out into the streets and handed out cookies, like thousands of cookies. You know what? Am I off track? Yes. Or am I? But if you are a veteran to Hug Nation, you are probably familiar with the lack of linear thought. Circle of trust, no judgment, right? Okay, what was I saying? Yes, Cookie. Anthony Collova, which I recommend that you follow him on Facebook. He's always got nuggets of wisdom, and he walks the walk of his word and is an inspiring person. But what he said, he's working on a book of his own about his path from path of sobriety, but also all the lessons and all of the steps that he has done to turn himself into a very impressive person. The thing he said was that focus on the person that you would like to be, and then make decisions from that place as if you were that person. Now, years ago, I'll explain that more in just a second. I heard, maybe it was Tony Robbins or something, saying that you need to make decisions or make your actions based on your commitments, not how you feel. Now, when you're in a go with the flow and float more, steer less, it can be, there is a potential, alley that you can get trapped in, which is I'm going with the flow. Today I feel like going back to bed. Today I just feel like not going to the gym. I don't feel like calling that person because it might be awkward. But if you make commitments to yourself, I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week. I'm going to call this person, back tomorrow. Then when it comes time to make that decision, you don't have to do that battle of willpower in the moment of like, oh, do I feel like doing? You can just go, oh no, that's not how, this action isn't based on how I'm feeling. I've already decided that this action is based on my commitment. I'm going to do this. So that's one tool. The way that Anthony helped me to cut even more bump out of the help as a decision-making process was that idea of imagine who you'd like to be. Anthony was saying, like, he would imagine if I was 20 years sober, how would I act in this situation? What decision would I make? What choice would I make? And so I'm trying to apply that. How would I act as a published New York Times bestselling author? How would I spend my day? How would I respond to this request? How would I act when I know the way I feel and about myself and the world after a full week at Burning Man? If I imagine that version of me, that highest version of me, how would I act? And it's this great little tool because in every moment of every day, I'm not at my best. And it's very easy because the mind is tricky. You don't have the thought, oh, I'm not feeling at my best right now, so maybe I will, turn it around. When you're not at your best, for me, what often happens, I think for many of us, is you just think, I'm just not good at this, or I'm not, and the momentary perspective becomes global. It becomes huge because you have allowed yourself to sink into the feeling of the moment instead of your big picture view of who you are or who you can be or what your potential is. And so I love this idea because what Anthony pointed out is that it's not quite the same as fake it till you make it, but it's similar because as you start to make decisions as your best self, you create the life of your best self. You become your best self. The difference between you don't feel good and then take actions. You act according to your goodness and then start to feel good. That is so much harder than it sounds. Unless you can have these tricks in your head, unless you can have act according to my commitments. So I'm going to make these decisions and do these things. I'm going to force myself to imagine how would I like to have made this decision. Would best-selling author Halcyon, would he, stay for one more drink, or would he Uber home and so he can get up early for his writing practice. Oh, yeah, actually, best-selling author would probably honor his writing commitment. Well, there you go. Even though I don't feel like it right now, I'm going to honor that commitment. So, again, all these things coming into place of tools to make shifts, motivation to make shifts, joyful future that is making all of these things not so much to-do lists that cause me stress. These are not things that are, until they're fixed, I won't be happy. They're this bright and shiny thing on the horizon that I now have steps and paths to get there. And this is huge for me. I'm not normally one that fantasizes about, oh, I can't wait to go on this trip. Oh, I've got that. I don't, like I said, no vision board. I don't have, when people ask me, what do you want in the future? Whether it's, someone I'm in a relationship with or career stuff, like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. Thai food sounds good for lunch. Like, no. What do you want? So, I'm starting to articulate and visualize and create this warm and yummy feeling of a future that brings joy into my now. And whether or not you have put any faith into the power of attraction, the law of attraction, or vibrational, like vibrations attracting to one another, there still is this priceless gift of bringing future good thoughts into the present. If you close your eyes right now and you imagine someone super special to you, imagine your child or a nephew or a lover and you can picture their face and you can picture them laughing, if you can even hear them laughing, you can feel some of the joy of that person. You've brought this future joy into the now. That is the power of imagination when it is disciplined. The power when it lacks discipline is it creates that future of like, well, what if I do it and no one likes it? Well, what if I... So... Future joy, I can't wait to meet you. While I'm putting my life together in a way that facilitates my journey to you, I'm going to just keep allowing myself to move into the warm, fuzzy thoughts, the visuals, ooh, wouldn't it be cool to have a pond? Ooh, wouldn't it be cool to have a place where I could entertain? Ooh, wouldn't it be cool if I had a studio? Ooh, wouldn't it be cool? And enjoy that while I am grateful for everything that is right now. Like this now, with you. I hope you have a warm and fuzzy future joy that is making your now even more delightful. Thank you for being a part of this now. I love you. Let's have a hug. Wherever you are, grab yourself by the shoulders and give this body a squeeze of gratitude, a squeeze of awe and appreciation for the miracle cycles that balance this body, that take raw material, proteins and enzymes and vitamins and plant matter and create energy, create new cells, create the words don't seem enough, but just gratitude for this process of being a biological entity with the experience of this fertile, beautiful planet. And then allowing ourselves to sink deeper into the thoughts that we have, into the emotions we have, into the personalities that we have, into the allegiances and alliances that we feel, and remembering that those are not core to who we are. Those are the stories that resonate with us, that help us to enjoy a a role in this world that makes it fun and exciting and dramatic. But when those roles make us stressed or cause us suffering or cause us to feel hate towards another, give yourself a chance to let go of those identities and sink into that deep self, that pure self, that loving self, the loving self that's in a baby's eyes, the loving self that is same for all people. If you strip away the thoughts, the mind, and let the love shine through us, it's the same love, it's the same light. And so for 3 breaths, we're going to let that light shine through us all, being part of one cosmic, billion-celled organism, each of us perfect as we are, doing just our perfect role, simply breathing in this moment. Inhale through the nose. Last one. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the Love Warriors, happy Hug Nation. I love you.